Hey, I'm Tyler. I'm here with the all-new Rockshox Reverb and show you everything that's new about this and how it compares to the old ones, because the differences between the old and new are what really make this one so special. So we're going to start on the outside with some of the superficial differences that make it able to have more travel in a more compact design. Let's start by looking at the bottom. So this is the old one here and this is the new one. These are both 150mm travel posts. If we put them side by side here, just at the bottom, you can see, all else being equal and lined up here, you've got about 1 centimeter to 1.5 centimeters more room here, which means you can get this down into your bike further so that you could run a longer post. That's a big difference there. All else being equal, let's look up here at the collar. So if you were to bury the post into your frame, having it sit right there, you can see now it's almost 2 centimeters different. So another thing they did to eke more travel out is they used a shorter collar. So you can see the difference in the collar. If we were to line those up and bury it into your frame, you've got another maybe like 3 or 4 millimeters of travel here, but then this is perhaps the most clever part of all. What they did up at the top where the seat clamps is, you can see it falls off to the side just a little bit. So the rail clamps actually sit a little bit lower, which means even if you had all that travel, your saddle is going to sit lower on the post, which gives you like an extra about 7 millimeters or so. And let's try and look at that side by side and compare. So here's the old 150, here's the new 150, and you can just kind of see right there how much more those drop compared to the old rail positions. All together, you end up with something like 2.5 or almost 3 centimeters of more room with the new one, which is an incredible amount of difference. One of the really cool things is that you're able to get so much more travel out of a post of similar height. So what I have here is a new post that's a 175, which is a little bit longer than the 170 they had before, and this is the old one that's a 150. If you hold it side by side now with the collar at the same place, so if this were maximum insertion, you can see down at the bottom, these are perfectly even. So even though the shaft for the 175 is longer, the part that connects it is shorter, and so you end up with about the same amount of posts that you can get in. So what that means is at the top, you can see, not only is this collar a little bit shorter, so you get that tiny bit more travel there, but let's look up here. You're only talking about 0.5 centimeter difference here. So for realistically about 0.5 centimeter different, you get 25 millimeters or 2.5 centimeters more travel out of the post. And that's really great for people with shorter seat tubes or shorter riders that want more drop but have been unable to get it. All right, let's move on to the inside. So first thing that is one of the biggest changes is the ability to automatically reset the reverb, basically servicing it on the fly yourself. So you do have to remove the seat collar or the seat post clamp to get to it, but in here you'll use the same tool that you use with the Reverb Access to basically get it on there, press down really hard, and what that does is as you push it down, it's forcing any air that got into the oil out and back into the air chamber so that you have a fresh feeling dropper post with no more squish. And one of the ways that can happen is when, like, let's say you've got a really heavy bike or you have the post compressed and you hung it on a bike rack from the saddle. Sometimes that kind of thing, that pulling can force it in, or just normal wear and tear, you know, just all that back and forth gets air in there. So this is a quick way to reset that and get the post fully sprung out and without any squish. One of the things they did to help prevent that from happening in the first place is redid the internals. So we're going to pull this little demo one apart, and on the inside, you now have a smaller shaft diameter. And so what that does is creates less surface area tension when you're trying to drop. So you're gonna have a smoother, easier feeling drop to begin with. But then all the internals and the oil are new too to help it slide smoother and reduce the likelihood of that air getting into the oil chamber in the first place. So just real quick, some of the neat things here is this is the main piston seal. This is the shaft that holds the oil in. This is your IFP, the independent floating piston that separates the air from the oil. So if you've ever wondered what keeps the post from twisting inside, it's these little keyed slots. There's 3 little slots on the shaft that slides in and out, and on the inside of the main tube, you can see there's 3 of those same grooves that run all the way down. And basically there's a small key that sits in there and keeps it sliding in a straight line and prevents the twist. As that wears down from normal use, that's where you get a little bit of play, and there has to be a tiny bit of play anyway, because if it were too tight, it would just add friction and keep the post from sliding smoothly. Okay, one last cool little feature I want to show you is on the remote. So a couple years ago, Rockshox introduced the inline lever remote that would replace your front derailleur shifter. So it's the position we're all used to with the thumb shifter. What's cool about this is not only is it way outselling the old push lock, push button remote, just because the ergonomics are so much better, but you get a return speed adjust. So after you've got it set up, then you can use this little knob under here, which is right next to the bleed port, and it's all covered by this rubber flap, and you simply twist it to adjust how fast you want that to return. That's a nice comparison about what's new for the new Reverb, and you can check out all the tech specs and details on bikeRumor.com.